Hi, this is Samantha Tab. This is my case study, Module 14, over internet use violations. So the first, I'm going to do the problem identification and the analysis. What do I know? First, I'm going to go over what I know about the school in the area. This is at Slattery Stano High School. It's an affluent area, lots of rolling hills with manicured lawns. Dr. Harvey has been the principal at the school for 9 years. He was recognized as Principal of the Year 2 years ago. The school is considered to be the most prestigious school in the state, and then the school recommends only the most qualified teachers for positions there. What do I know about Miss Tate? She is a beginning teacher. She has an undergrad, master's, and another year of postgraduate work. She teaches specialized science courses. She is not married. She establishes a classroom in which students experience high levels of stress. She has not implemented strategies that have been suggested by the principal, Dr. Smith. She had a Facebook page made about her, and she felt threatened by the page. What do I know about the students and the families at this school? The parents are professionals like lawyers and doctors. The students have the latest fashion trends and technologies available to them. They want to be, a lot of them aspire to be valedictorian or salutatorian, so there is a lot of pressure to do well. Parents and students have complained about Miss Tate's rigor, her stressful classroom, and then poor instruction. And then possibly a student or a parent has made a Facebook page about her. I also had another thought here was that because the parents are professionals, they have a ton of pressure put on them to do well. So maybe the issue here, one of the issues that I thought was maybe these students aren't used to struggling, and then finally they are, and they're like, Miss Tate's the problem. So that's a thought that I had. What do I need to know? Well, there's a lot I found that I needed to know, so I list some of the things that were most important. So who set up the Facebook page? Has Facebook been contacted? Is the page still active? Can we see who posts, comments, likes, receives messages from the page? Is there any identifiable information that can link someone back to an email or a username or even like a first name, last name? If we find out who did this, what is school policy say about this type of situation or behavior? It does have to do with technology. It will stem back to some sort of school policy once we find out what happened or who did this. When all information is gathered, is this malice, cyberbullying? Is there a zero tolerance on anything that this applies to? How will this be handled? What is triggering this exactly? Did something happen in the last week that someone was like, I'm going to go home this weekend and I'm going to make a Facebook page about how I want Miss Tate to disappear? And then did Miss Tate finally make an adjustment in her classroom? And then maybe this new adjustment had triggered this whole change or need to just finally do this week. Sounds like it's been going on all year long. So maybe something did change in this last week. So the problem identification. So I have found that there's two big problems that came to my mind. So problem number one being the Facebook page. This is a big issue. Clearly, Ms. Tate's classroom culture was an issue, but this Facebook page has just made this big old thing, and now we need to do some investigation. There was a Facebook page made about Ms. Tate. Is it a true threat? How do we keep Ms. Tate safe while also fostering learning in her classroom? So then the problem number two being the teacher. Ms. Tate's classroom culture, the rigor in her classroom, possibly classroom management, how to support the students in her classroom. Why has she not improved? Is there communication issues? Clearly all the parents are going to the principal for this. So there is a communication issue, between the parents and the teachers, and clearly the students and the teacher. So this kind of reminded me of something that I've heard of before, the onion effect. So the outside of the onion is like the issue that is making a big issue, which right now would be the Facebook page. Okay, great, peeling that back. What's the next issue here? Students think that they can make a Facebook page. Okay, peel back another layer. All right, so the students don't feel welcome in the classroom. They don't feel like they're being successful in the classroom. Peel back another layer. All right, we might be to the bottom layer, we might not be. I wish I had more details on it, but the core of the onion is Miss Tate's classroom culture. What she's doing in her classroom, why has she not implemented change? I just thought it was funny that it kind of reminded me of the onion effect. There are a lot of layers that go into this main problem, and we need to get to the very core of the onion to find out what the real issue is. All right, so number 2, plan of action with my strategies would be, 1, I'm going to start with the problem of the students, I guess. The students, that sounds horrible, but I really don't mean it to be that way. But 1, I need to find out, is this a true threat? I need to contact Facebook. I need to see what they know about it. I need to find out who has a part in making this Facebook page. I need to use my district resources. Am I contacting like a student support? Am I contacting IT? That's what I need to do. I need to reach out and use every single resource that I have to get to the bottom of this. If the page is not already taken down, I need to monitor the page. If it's still active, I'll monitor it. If not, I'll try to get it taken down. And then I need to find out if other teachers have been threatened too, because surely, or maybe this is the only teacher, but it is very important that teachers also feel safe in the environment that they spend most of their time. So to me, that's really, really, really important. All right, so number 2, I would talk to the staff. I would give steps to follow. I would want them to listen for students talking. And then if they hear the students talking, I want them to document it. I want them to report it to the principal. I want them to talk to students depending on what is said. Obviously not probing, not accusing, but just if it is a conversation that is being had, maybe they need to talk to them, or maybe the student came to them, hey, I heard this, and and maybe the teacher would just need to document it and bring it to a principal without actually accusing anybody of doing something. And then give tips on not confronting the situation, or on not confronting the situation, definitely not accusing. So just let it be brought to teachers, not teachers bring it to students, is I guess what I was trying to say. And then number 3, I would talk to the students. I wouldn't accuse or point fingers. I would just have a listening ear, talk about the struggles in Miss Tate's class, talk about frustrations, and then maybe in turn, the students will feel like they can talk to me, and then I can just get more information from them. And then number 4 is a possibility, or it might not be. So depending on if we get to the bottom of this, when the situation is investigated and over with, what discipline will be needed? Does it need to be suspension or ISS, extra awareness, logical consequences, such as, if you're going to be a cyberbully to a teacher, maybe you need to be teaching classes over cyberbullying, or teaching students about malice and the consequences of all of that. So that's if we come down to it, and there is someone who is fully responsible for this, and they have made this Facebook page. We'll talk about discipline then. So then problem number 2, that's Miss Tate. So I would have a conference with her. We would create long and short-term goals, expectations of her students, expectations for herself, and then we would make a plan that everybody was okay with and that everybody will follow, because that hasn't happened yet since she has not made implementations of change in her classroom. And then number 2 of Miss Tate would be, why is Miss Tate's classroom culture the way that it is? Is it personality, students or teacher? Is it the content rigor? Are her expectations too high? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but possibly goes back to personality and teaching style. That would just maybe be something that we need to talk about. Is she not building relationships? Does she not give them a high five on the way in? Does she show that she doesn't necessarily care about them? Those are all things that if I was in the building, I would know that about my teachers. Is she overwhelmed? I mean, this place sounds really like even out of my comfort zone to teach at, and I grew up like that. So maybe she's overwhelmed and doesn't really know what to do, and she doesn't know how to ask questions, which would be unfortunate. So then we would find out why Miss Tate, sorry, my nose is itching, why Miss Tate is not implementing the changes. Did she not like my advice or the principal's advice? Does she not feel supported? What does she need to be supported? Does she need a co-teacher or a mentor? Again, is she overwhelmed by the amount of changes? And have I, as the principal, given her the supports to make her successful? So number 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. So I would promote the success and the personal well-being of every student by not accusing students. I don't know the whole story. I just know what Miss Tate has told me. I've seen the Facebook page. I might not know these kids as much as she does, but that comes back to I'm not accusing them of doing anything. We would want to create an environment where students feel like they're loved, wanted, and they can succeed. Maybe they need cyberbullying lessons, policies and consequences over cyberbullying. Clearly, this is an issue. This is an instance. It's not possibly not the first, and it might not be the last. Tips on how to handle stress and hard times in schools when things aren't necessarily going their way, but they're very hard and stressful. Tell students there are people in the building that you can talk to, and you can come into my office every day, anytime, any day to talk about things like this. Cyberbullying, making a Facebook page is not an option because you have many other options that you can go to before you think that that's your last resort. And then find time for students to get help with the class. If changes have been made and they're still struggling, we still need to support them and we need to make them feel successful. I would have honest conversations often and sooner. I would support the teacher in any way that they needed to be supported, also with the students. I would set clear expectations for teaching content and classroom management. There would be clear expectations that we could both agree on going back to the plan that we would create together. I love doing this as a professional, recording myself teaching in my classroom because you don't know what you don't know. And clearly this would be for personal use only, just so that she can reflect. I know when I've done that, I've been like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I did that so many times, or wow, now I see why that lesson did not go very well. So just personal use only. But I think that would be good for Miss Tate to reflect on her own teaching. I would have constant check-ins and constant feedback with her. I would hold her accountable for her observations or with observations, formal, informal, pre and post observation conversations. Get Miss Tate a mentor or a co-teacher. Set up vertical and horizontal PDs so she can get with everyone in her science department and kind of talk about what they do. I know they're not teaching the same classes, but they would still have the same conversations. And then possibly, getting with, if she teaches 10th grade, she can get with 11th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade, and they can talk about like where they're going, where they're coming from. Maybe they're just not set up for success to be in her class. Those are things that she would need to find out. Check on the classroom frequently, grades, complaints, student interviews, if you needed. So my reflection, the thoughts that I had, did Dr. Smith take the rigor in Miss Tate's class seriously? Was it content? Was it her style of teaching? Why was it appropriate for Miss Tate not to make changes in her classroom? That really baffled me. What supports did Dr. Smith give her to make those changes? Did Miss Tate have a mentor or a team that she could talk to? Was it a parent that made the Facebook page? That literally crossed my mind, but okay. And is this for real? I just wanted to know if this is a real situation. All right, so the feelings that I had. I felt sad that the teacher felt that she was threatened at her home based off of words on a social media account. I felt turned off that a teacher was not with it enough to gauge where her class was, content-wise, how they were feeling about her class, and that her students seemed to not be able to talk to her. I just kind of felt turned off that you're in teaching to teach. If you can't gauge where your students are, just in my opinion, what are you doing? I felt confused as a future building leader that some people in my building might feel that they don't need to take my advice and that they feel that they don't need to make the changes that are suggested. And then I also felt upset as a parent. So I just saw it from, a building leader. I saw it from a teacher point of view. I saw it, from a student point of view and also as a parent. So it was really nice to do this and see how it went all the way around, to have empathy for all sides. What I valued. I love that Miss Tate could call her principal during her times off and confide in him. Dr. Smith was not placing blame, but simply just trying to get to the bottom of this. He was very respectful, remain calm. He wanted to remain calm. He wanted to see everything. And that also Miss Tate, she values rigor in her class. Clearly this is a hard class, so that hands down to her that she is doing some higher order thinking in her classroom. Unresolved issues that I had. Is this normal? Is this normal for a thing to happen to teachers? Why did Miss Tate not feel the need to change her techniques in her classroom? Why did Dr. Smith not hold Miss Tate accountable? Were there complaints from her colleagues who made the Facebook page? Will more complaints come from parents even after she makes changes? Those are things that we don't know. I need to pause it because I'm almost over time. I'll be back.